Losing a spouse is one of the hardest, most heart-wrenching experiences anyone can go through. It's not just the deep emotional pain of grief. It's the overwhelming flood of decisions that suddenly fall on your shoulders, many of which you never expected to face alone. In those moments of loss, it's easy to make choices driven by sadness, loneliness, or the pressure of others' expectations. But some of these decisions, though made with the best intentions, can lead to unnecessary regrets, added financial strain, or even delay your healing process. Grief is a deeply personal journey, and there's no one way to navigate it. However, there are certain choices you should be especially cautious about in the aftermath of losing a spouse. In this video, we're going to discuss 5 things you should avoid saying yes to during this difficult time. Decisions that many people don't realize could make things even harder until it's too late. These pitfalls can complicate an already painful situation, but by being aware of them, you can protect yourself emotionally, financially, and physically. Stay with us until the end, because this video is not just about avoiding mistakes, it's about helping you find your way through this chapter with clarity, dignity, and the support you deserve. Let's take a closer look. And one of the first and most costly mistakes many people make after losing a spouse is rushing into major financial decisions. In the fog of grief, it can feel like your world has spun out of control. Making a big decision, like selling your home or investing in something new, can seem like a way to take back some of that control. After all, you've just experienced one of life's most profound losses, and the urge to do anything that gives you a sense of stability is completely natural. But the truth is, grief clouds judgment. Your emotions are raw, your routines are shaken, and the future feels uncertain. In that vulnerable state, even well-meaning decisions can lead to long-term regret. Take a story of Mr. Harold Simmons, a 72-year-old retired teacher from North Carolina. After losing his wife of 47 years to cancer, Harold found himself overwhelmed, not just by sadness, but by a flurry of advice from family neighbors and even financial blogs. "Sell the house," one friend urged. "It's too much to manage alone." Another said, "Put the insurance money into something high return." Within 2 months, Harold had sold the home he and his wife had shared, moved into a smaller condo across town, and shifted a large portion of his savings into an aggressive investment plan recommended by a cousin. At first, he felt productive, relieved even. But a few months later, reality began to settle in. The condo didn't feel like home. He missed the creak of the old wooden stairs, the garden she had tended with such love, the quiet evenings in their favorite room filled with memories. Worse, one of his investments plummeted in value, forcing him to dip into his emergency savings. "I thought I was moving forward," he later said, "but really, I was just trying to run away from the grief." His story, unfortunately, isn't unique. A study published in the Journal of Financial Therapy found that over 70% of widows and widowers make at least one major financial decision within 6 months of their spouse's death, and nearly half later regret it. Another report by the Women's Institute for a Secure Retirement noted that widows are particularly vulnerable to poor financial advice and scams during the first year of grieving. And it's not just about bad decisions, it's also about timing. When your mind and heart are processing trauma, your ability to evaluate risk, think long-term, or even ask the right questions is compromised. That's why many financial advisors recommend what's often called the 1-year rule. Avoid making any permanent financial decisions like selling a home, investing large sums, or distributing assets for at least 12 months after your loss. That window allows your emotions to stabilize, your routines to reset, and your thinking to become clearer. It gives you time to distinguish between what you want because of grief and what you truly need for your future. Of course, that doesn't mean doing nothing at all. There are basic things that may need immediate attention: closing joint accounts, filing insurance claims, ensuring your bills are being paid. But the larger life-altering choices should wait until you can make them with a calm heart and a clear mind. During this time, it's also essential to surround yourself with trusted and unbiased guidance. If possible, speak with a certified financial planner who specializes in working with older adults or widowed clients. Avoid rushing to act on suggestions from relatives or acquaintances who, though well-intentioned, may not fully understand your emotional state or long-term goals. And beware of anyone who pressures you to act now or promises quick returns. Those are red flags, especially during a time when you're emotionally vulnerable. Taking it slow doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you're giving yourself the dignity and care you deserve. You've just lost someone irreplaceable. You don't need to rush to rebuild your life in a single season. The home, the accounts, the paperwork, they'll still be there next month. What matters now is allowing your heart time to grieve without the added weight of irreversible decisions. Sometimes doing nothing is the wisest choice. If you're feeling overwhelmed, write down what needs to be addressed eventually and create a decision calendar that gives you space. You can revisit each topic when you're ready, ideally with a clear head and proper support. Remember, your value isn't in how quickly you bounce back, it's in how gently you take care of yourself during one of life's hardest transitions. As Mr. Simmons eventually shared, "I wish someone had just told me it's okay to pause. You're not falling behind, you're healing." His story is a powerful reminder that time is not the enemy. It's the companion that helps us make wiser, steadier choices. So, if you're in that fragile first year of grief, take a breath. Don't rush. Your heart is healing, and your future deserves thoughtful care, not hasty fixes. You have time. Give yourself permission to use it. Building on that, another silent yet deeply damaging mistake many people make after the loss of a spouse is withdrawing from social connections, friends, family, even the simple rhythms of daily interaction. In the immediate aftermath of loss, it's completely understandable to seek solitude. Grief is personal, raw, and exhausting. You may not feel like answering phone calls, going out to dinner, or sitting in a room full of cheerful conversation. But what often begins as just needing space can gradually turn into full-blown isolation, and that isolation can slowly, almost invisibly, take a toll on your health, your emotions, and even your sense of identity. Take the story of Mrs. Elaine Carter, a 76-year-old widow from Ohio. After her husband passed away unexpectedly, Elaine stopped going to church, ignored her neighbors' invitations for morning walks, and let her weekly phone calls with her grandchildren fade into silence. "I thought I just needed time," she later admitted. "But after a while, time turned into loneliness, and I didn't know how to reach out anymore." Her days became quiet to the point of painful. Meals were eaten alone. Holidays passed with little more than a glance at old photographs. What started as grief morphed into emotional numbness, and physical symptoms soon followed. She began losing weight, slept poorly, and felt her memory slipping. According to the National Institute on Aging, social isolation is not just emotionally harmful, it's physically dangerous. Studies show that prolonged loneliness can increase the risk of heart disease, stroke, depression, and even early death. In fact, one study published in Perspectives on Psychological Science found that chronic loneliness can be as damaging to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Another report from the CDC revealed that socially isolated older adults face a 50% higher risk of developing dementia. These statistics aren't just numbers, they reflect what happens when the human heart and mind are left without connection. When we lose someone we've shared a life with, the instinct to pull inward is strong. But healing does not happen in silence and shadow. It needs light voices, warmth, however small or imperfect those may feel at first. The truth is, you don't have to jump back into the world all at once. Nobody's asking you to host a dinner party or attend a large event the month after your loss. But small steps matter. For Elaine, healing began with a knock on her door from a persistent neighbor who gently insisted she come to a weekly coffee and conversation group at the local community center. At first, Elaine sat quietly, not saying much. But over time, hearing others share their days, even their struggles, helped her feel seen again. From there, she joined a gentle yoga class, started writing letters to her grandkids, and began taking short walks around her block. These may sound like tiny acts, but together they formed a lifeline. And perhaps more importantly, they reminded her that although her husband was gone, life was still offering connection if she was willing to receive it. If you find yourself in a similar place, wanting to be alone, but starting to feel a heaviness in that solitude, consider this your gentle nudge. Staying connected doesn't have to mean constant activity. It might be as simple as replying to a text, waving to a neighbor, or listening to a podcast that makes you feel understood. If you can try setting small social goals, one phone call per week, one short walk with a friend, one visit to a familiar place. These little steps can help soften the sharp edges of loneliness and keep your mind, body, and spirit engaged. Support groups for widows and widowers can also be incredibly helpful. Many communities, churches, and senior centers offer programs specifically for those navigating life after loss. Just being in the presence of others who get it can be a powerful balm. Even if you don't speak much, the act of being with others is enough to start easing the ache of being alone. And remember, you are not a burden by showing up. The people who care about you want to see you, hear from you, walk beside you, even in silence. The act of reaching out is not weakness, it's courage. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. The human heart, especially one broken by loss, needs other hearts nearby, beating, caring, showing up. As Mrs. Carter later shared, "I didn't realize how much I needed people until I heard someone laugh again beside me, and for a moment I felt like I could breathe." So if you're hurting and hiding, please know you are not alone in your grief, and you don't have to carry it by yourself. Take one small step toward connection today. Even the softest thread of human contact can become the rope that helps pull you out of the quiet, aching dark. And from there, slowly, gently, life can begin to open up again. Just as withdrawing from others can quietly erode your emotional health, another common but often overlooked mistake after losing a spouse is neglecting your own physical and mental well-being. When someone you've loved and shared your life with is suddenly gone, the shock and sadness can be so overwhelming that simple self-care like eating, sleeping, or seeing your doctor can feel meaningless. But the truth is, while grief naturally takes a toll on the heart, neglecting your body and mind only deepens that pain and makes the path to healing even harder. To better understand this, let's look at Robert, a 74-year-old former construction worker from Nebraska. After his wife passed away, Robert found himself drifting through the days. Breakfast became a cup of instant coffee, sometimes skipped entirely. Lunch was often just crackers or canned soup. He started canceling his annual checkups, stopped going on his daily walks, and spent more time sitting alone in front of the TV. "I just didn't care," he admitted. "I figured, what did it matter now?" But within a few months, Robert's blood pressure spiked. He felt constantly tired. His joints ached more than usual. Even his memory seemed foggier than before. What he didn't realize at the time was that the very things he was skipping, nutrition, movement, social engagement, routine, were the exact tools that could have helped him not only survive but slowly begin to recover. According to a 2022 report from the American Heart Association, bereavement, especially in the first 6 to 12 months after losing a spouse, can significantly increase the risk of cardiovascular problems, including heart attacks and stroke, particularly in older adults. Another study published in the journal Psychosomatic Medicine found that those experiencing intense grief are more likely to experience immune system suppression, sleep disorders, digestive issues, and chronic fatigue. Simply put, when you're grieving, your body goes through real measurable stress, and if you stop caring for it, that stress compounds. But here's what's important to remember. Self-care during grief isn't selfish, it's essential. You're not moving on by eating a proper meal or taking your medications. You're not forgetting your loved one by getting some fresh air or doing a few stretches. What you're doing is giving yourself a fighting chance to think clearly, to feel less pain, to have the strength to make it through each day, and eventually to find small moments of peace again. One powerful example of this truth is Mary, a 69-year-old widow from Arizona. After her husband's passing, Mary felt the same pull to retreat, but she made one small promise to herself: she would get dressed every morning and take a 10-minute walk, no matter how she felt. At first, it felt pointless. The mornings were heavy with silence, but over time, that walk became a rhythm. Then came better breakfasts. Nothing fancy, just oatmeal or scrambled eggs. She scheduled a checkup and even joined a local gardening club. "I didn't feel better overnight," she said, "but little by little, I didn't feel worse." And that was something. That's the power of small habits. They don't erase grief, but they anchor you in the present, giving your body and brain the tools they need to withstand the emotional storm. Even gentle movement like walking or stretching boosts endorphins and helps reduce the stress hormone cortisol. Regular meals stabilize blood sugar and mood. Proper sleep sharpens your thinking and strengthens your immunity. These aren't luxuries, they are lifelines. So if you've found yourself forgetting to eat, skipping medications, or putting off doctor appointments, pause and give yourself permission to care for yourself, not perfectly, but consistently. Start with something small. Drink water when you wake up. Take a short walk to the mailbox. Eat something warm and nourishing once a day. Make a list of any medical appointments you've delayed and try to schedule just one. You don't have to overhaul your entire routine, but every small act of care is a message to yourself: I matter too, and you do. Your loved one would want you to be well. They would want you to keep living, not just breathing, but truly living in a way that honors the life you shared. As Robert later reflected, "When I started eating better and walking again, I didn't stop missing her. But I started remembering her with more peace than pain." And that truly is what healing looks like. So take care of your heart emotionally and physically. Your grief deserves space, yes, but so does your health, your hope, and your healing. One step at a time. And just as caring for your physical health gives you the strength to face each day, protecting your emotional heart is just as important, especially when it comes to relationships. One of the most common and often misunderstood mistakes after losing a spouse is rushing into a new, romantic relationship too soon. When the person you loved for decades is suddenly gone, it's only natural to feel a deep emptiness. The silence can be unbearable, the loneliness sharp. In those vulnerable months, the idea of finding someone new, someone to talk to, sit beside, or even just distract you from the pain can seem incredibly comforting. And yet, as tempting as it might feel to fill the void quickly entering a new relationship before you've fully processed your grief, can lead to more heartache down the line. Consider the story of Linda, a 70-year-old woman from Indiana. After her husband of 42 years passed away, she felt utterly adrift. Friends encouraged her to join a local widows group, but instead she signed up for an online dating site just to see what was out there. Within a few weeks, she met a man named Carl. He was kind, attentive, and perhaps most importantly, available. At first, Linda felt a rush of hope. She wasn't alone. She could laugh again. But soon, subtle cracks began to show. Every disagreement felt sharper than it should. She found herself comparing Carl to her late husband constantly: how he spoke, how he made coffee, how he folded his shirts. What began as a comfort started to feel like confusion. Was she truly falling in love, or was she just afraid of being alone? Eventually, Linda ended the relationship, feeling even more emotionally exhausted than before. Her heart had never really healed, it had simply been distracted. This experience is not rare. Research published by the American Psychological Association shows that individuals in early bereavement often experience a heightened vulnerability to emotional dependency and impulsive decision-making, especially when it comes to seeking companionship. Another study from the Journals of Gerontology notes that those who remarry or begin serious relationships within the first year of loss are more likely to experience emotional conflict, dissatisfaction, or regret, largely because grief was never given the space to run its natural course. What's more, unresolved grief often leads people to unintentionally project their loss onto a new partner, seeking not just love, but a replacement. This can place enormous strain on a budding relationship and cause deep emotional confusion for both individuals involved. It's important to understand wanting love again is not wrong. Needing connection is not a weakness. But timing and honesty with yourself matters deeply. The truth is the longing you feel might not be for a new partner, but for the person you lost. And no one can truly take their place. That doesn't mean your heart can't open again, but it does mean you deserve time to figure out what you truly want outside the shadow of grief. When you're still in the early stages of mourning, your emotional landscape is shifting constantly. Some days you may feel strong, other days undone by a memory or a scent. That inner instability can make it hard to build something new on solid ground. Instead of rushing into a romantic connection, consider investing in emotional connections that carry no-pressure friendship support groups, community gatherings. These relationships can provide warmth, company, and shared understanding without the emotional weight of romance. And if you do feel a genuine spark with someone new, give yourself the grace to go slowly. Ask yourself, am I looking for love or for comfort? Am I comparing this person to my spouse or seeing them for who they really are? Am I emotionally available? Or am I still holding on to grief I haven't fully processed? These aren't easy questions, but they are essential. If you're unsure, talking with a counselor, pastor, or trusted friend can help you navigate the emotions without judgment. The goal isn't to shut yourself off from love, but to make space for it when you're truly ready with a clear heart, a strong sense of self, and the ability to give and receive love for the right reasons. As Linda later shared, I wasn't wrong to want love again, but I learned that love after loss needs time to grow from healing, not from hurt. So if you're feeling that tug toward companionship, take a deep breath and check in with your heart. You don't need to rush. Love, when it's meant to come, will meet you where you are, patiently, respectfully, and in its own good time. Give yourself the space to heal first. The best relationships begin not out of fear of being alone, but from the strength of knowing who you are and what you truly need after the storm has passed. And just as rushing into a new relationship too soon can create emotional confusion, clinging to every physical reminder of your spouse can quietly keep you stuck in the past, unable to move forward into a life that still has meaning. It's one of the most tender mistakes grieving hearts make, holding on to everything afraid that letting go means forgetting. After all, when someone you love deeply passes, their presence lingers in the things they touched, wore, or cherished. A favorite chair, a worn flannel shirt, a book left open on the nightstand. These objects feel sacred, like anchors to the love you lost. But when you hold on to everything, refusing to change a single thing, your home can become a shrine of sorrow rather than a sanctuary for healing. Consider the experience of Dolores, a 75-year-old widow from Pennsylvania. After her husband Tom passed away, she couldn't bring herself to move anything he had left behind. His slippers remained by the bed. His coat stayed hanging on the hallway hook for months. Even setting the table for one felt like betrayal. I thought if I changed anything, she said, I was erasing him. But over time, what once brought comfort began to feel suffocating. Each room whispered of absence. She avoided the bedroom altogether because seeing his things untouched only deepened her pain. It was like living with a ghost, she finally admitted. The emotional toll of this kind of clinging is real. Psychologists call it complicated grief, a condition where the normal process of mourning becomes stalled or prolonged. According to the Mayo Clinic, people with complicated grief often experience intense sorrow that doesn't improve with time, along with avoidance of reminders, inability to trust others, and difficulty embracing life again. While holding on is natural, refusing to let go at all can prevent healing, trapping you in a space where grief is constantly reawakened. But here's the truth many don't realize. Letting go of objects does not mean letting go of love. The memories live in your heart, not just in the things left behind, and making space physically and emotionally doesn't dishonor your loved one. In fact, it can be an act of love for yourself, a gentle step toward reclaiming your life and creating a new kind of peace. When Dolores finally allowed herself to begin sorting through Tom's belongings, she didn't do it all at once. She started with one drawer. She chose a few shirts that held special meaning and had them turned into a memory quilt by her granddaughter. She donated the rest to a local shelter Tom had supported. She moved his recliner into another room and placed a small plant in its place. Something living, something new. It didn't erase him, she said. It made room for me. That's the kind of slow, thoughtful transition that fosters healing. You don't have to throw everything away. In fact, most grief counselors recommend a balanced approach. Keep the items that bring you comfort or tell a meaningful story, and consider passing along the rest in a way that feels respectful. Some people create memory boxes or photo albums. Others repurpose clothing into keepsakes for children or grandchildren. The goal isn't to erase the past, but to carry it forward in a way that doesn't weigh you down. If you're struggling with this step, ask yourself, are these items helping me heal, or are they holding me in place? Do they bring warmth, or do they reopen wounds? You can also enlist a trusted friend or family member to help someone who can offer emotional support and gentle encouragement without rushing you. Studies show that physical environment plays a significant role in emotional health, especially for older adults. According to research published in The Gerontologist, cluttered or emotionally frozen living spaces are linked to increased anxiety, depression, and difficulty adapting to life changes. Creating a space that reflects who you are now, not just who you were, can help restore a sense of control, calm, and even hope. Remember, this isn't about forgetting. It's about honoring both your loved one's memory and your right to live fully in their absence. As you slowly reclaim your space, you begin to reclaim yourself. Dolores put it best when she said, "Every time I gave something away, I made room to breathe again. Not because I loved him less, but because I was learning to love myself enough to keep going." So, if your home still feels like a museum of the past, gently ask yourself what you're ready to release, not all at once, but one drawer, one object, one memory at a time. You are allowed to keep the love and let go of the weight. In doing so, you create space not just for healing, but for living, remembering, and eventually even joy. And when we step back and reflect on these 5 quiet but powerful mistakes, rushing into financial decisions, withdrawing from loved ones, neglecting our health, seeking new relationships too quickly, and holding on to every possession, we begin to see a deeper truth. Grief clouds not only our emotions, but also our judgment, our energy, and our ability to envision a future. Each of these responses is human. Each one comes from a place of pain, love, and the desperate need to feel safe again. But if we aren't careful, these well-intended reactions can quietly delay the healing we so deeply need. That's why awareness matters. By recognizing these patterns, we give ourselves a chance to pause, to breathe, and to make choices with clarity, not just from sorrow. Healing after loss is not a straight line. There is no deadline, no perfect roadmap, and no shame in taking your time. But in that time, it's essential to remember this: you are still here. Your life still has meaning. And the way forward begins with small, thoughtful steps that honor both your grief and your growth. Let yourself heal at your own pace. Ask for help when you need it. And most importantly, know that you don't have to walk this journey alone. The love you lost will always be a part of you, but so will the strength you discover along the way. If this video touched your heart or reminded you of someone who needs to hear these words, I invite you to like, share, and leave a comment below. Tell us what resonated with you most, or share your own experience. Your voice may be the encouragement someone else needs today. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you won't miss future videos filled with support, wisdom, and hope. Thank you for spending this time with me. I see you. I honor your journey, and I look forward to walking beside you in the next video. Until then, take care, and remember, you are not alone.